Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So last week we have the lesson on the beginnings of achievement. We talk about there are four kinds of wills, and who possess those four kinds of wills will progress more in this life, easier, faster. So what is the four? The dwelling in the suitable place, relying on good person, directing ourselves rightly, and have the marriage done in the past. So that is the last week lesson. Today lesson, we based on one question that my student in Vietnam, because when we have a chanting, we have the verse like offering flower to the Buddha, to the Dharma and Sangha. With the merit of that, may we gain the emancipation of all kind of suffering. The flower is to be wither and fade away, so is our body to be aged and pass away. So the verse is like that. So and she asked me that when we chant that every day, so we need to offer new flower every day. Is it possible that she offer any kind of flower or special kind of flower or expensive one? So I told her that when we offer to the Buddha, the main one is how we care about offering, especially our mind to prepare the offering. Like we choose the best flower when we see it's most beautiful one. It is not like the best in mean of expensive one. We don't need to go to the market to buy expensive flower. We can go to the garden. Whatever flower you find, it's beautiful, and you think it is worth to offer to the Buddha. So you can pick the flower and offer to the Buddha. And the main part of the offering is to show our respect to the Buddha. And when we look at the flower, we know that it is just like ourselves. It is fleeting and it will fade away. Just like ourselves, one day we have to say goodbye to this world, and thus we can practice more. That's the main part. So that's why we have today topic fleeting as flower. The verse we chant nowadays is not written in the time of the Buddha for sure. But when I read the verse, the stanza, flowers to be withered and to fade away is my body to be aged and pass away, like that. I remember one story in the time of the Buddha. It's written down in the commentary of Dhammapada and Sutta. So in the time of the Buddha, there's a son of goldsmith become an attendant monk of Venerable Sariputta. So Venerable Sariputta is the high chief disciple of the Buddha, in his special with wisdom. And because he's a young monk, he become a monk at a young age. So Venerable Sariputta think that because young people have a lot of desire, craving, so he touched the meditation on unattractiveness. The not beautiful part of our body, to practice on that kind of meditation called Asubha Bhavana. But that monk, that young monk, he tried hard to follow his teaching, to practice meditation so well, but no result come out after 4 months. And Venerable Sariputta can say, maybe my method is not right, so I should bring him to the Buddha. So when he brings the Buddha let him know that to know what is suitable for him is beyond of Sariputta domain. So it should be the Buddha know how to deal with him. So the Buddha uses psychic power to create really, really beautiful luminous lotus flower, and asked the young monk to go down to a shade of the building and look at it, and a word to it said, Lohita, Lohita means red, red, red color. Why the Buddha do that instead of the unattractive meditation? Because that young monk, 500 previous life ago, was a goldsmith, continuously as a goldsmith. So this meditation subject would be suitable for him. That's why the Buddha gave him this subject. So therefore, after he practiced a really short time, he attained up to the fourth jhana absorption, and can easily go through the jhana absorption in the direct verse or reverse order easily. So at that time, the Buddha used his psychic power to make the flower wilted and darkened in color. It's not shining, it's not beautiful anymore. It darkened and darkened. So he saw the changing of the color. Before, it's the really beautiful luminous lotus flower, but then it changed into a darkened one. It's not beautiful as before. He see the changing, the permanent thing, the permanent nature of the flower. And when he saw that, he applied to himself. Me too. I will be crushed by decay. I will be changed. I will not young anymore in one day. He think for himself like that. And he think furthermore that he know that what is have the nature to change, it brings suffering, unsatisfied. We don't want to change. We want everything perfect, more and more and more like that. So what have the characteristic of changing will bring suffering, unsatisfaction. And what is unsatisfied it is not belong to me, it's not mine, it's not my possession. So he practiced and he increased, he developed his insight meditation in that way. And at that moment, when the Buddha know that he are ready to receive his teachings, the Buddha uses psychic power to appear in front of him and give a short Dhamma talk in a stanza, which means that you should eradicate the craving, just like plucking the flower, and to achieve more in the practice to attain Nibbana, assisting of cessation of all kinds of suffering, cessation of the craving of the defilement. So at that moment, he realized the teaching of the Buddha and become an arahant. So from the story, we can see that with just looking at a flower, he can develop more in the meditation as the Buddha taught him. So that's why nowadays, for sure, we don't have that lucky the chance to meet the Buddha, but at least we offer flowers every day like that. We can see the changing of the flower, it fade away, and when we see the changing of flower, the changing nature of the flower, we can compare to ourselves, and we know that what we should do for our life. So just like there's another idea written in the Majjhima Nikaya, taught by Venerable called Rattapala. Longevity is not acquired with wealth. We cannot use our wealth to exchange for long life. Prosperity cannot banish the old age. We cannot use our prosperity to chase away the old age. It will come whatever way. The wise said that this life is short, not eternal, and has changing nature. This stanza, Venerable Sariputta talked to a king called Gorabhya of Kuru country. So one time, the king Gorabhya come to Venerable Rathabala and asked him that why you choose this kind of practice when you was at a young age. And Venerable Venerable Rathabala said that because I saw there are four things that touched by the Buddha, by the fully enlightened one who knows and see. That's why I practice. I choose my life, my path like this. So what is the four? The first one is life in the world is unstable. It is swept away. Unstable means not permanent, impermanently. Swept away means go away toward the aging and death. Go to the part that the rule of lifespan. Second one, life has no shelter and no protection. No shelter, no protections mean there are no refuge. There are no one can console, comfort when we come to that person or that thing. No protection, there's no one can preserve, no one can nourish ourselves. That is the second one. The third one, life in the world has nothing of its own and has to live on and pass on. It means that nothing called belonging to us, and what we think it's what we consider as our possession, we will lose when we departing from this world. This is the third one. And the last one, life in the world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. That is the fourth thing that Venerable Rathabala saw and see and understand by himself through the teaching of the Buddha, and that's why he chose this life to practice the teaching of the Buddha. The king asked the Venerable Rathabala, what is the meaning of that? The first one, life is unstable, it is swept away. So Venerable Rathabala asked the king that, what do you think, great king, when you were 20 or 25 years old? You were an expert rider of elephants, expert horseman, expert charioteer, expert anchor, expert swordman, with strong thigh, strong arm, and sturdy and capable in any battle. Is it right? The king said, yes. When I was 20, 25, I really strong. I was an expert rider of elephant, a horseman, charioteer, expert anchor, expert swordman, strong thigh, strong arm, sturdy and capable in any battle. And sometimes I wonder if that I have supernormal power because I really, really strong at that time, the king said. And no one could be equal with me at that time. So what do you think, king? Are you now strong thigh, strong arm, sturdy and capable in a battle as before? The king said, no, Venerable Rathabala, now I'm old, burdened in years, spent in life. I nearly come to the last stage. My year is now 80 years old. And sometimes I put my foot here, somewhere else, while thinking I put it here. Cannot control your foot anymore. It's pity like that. So Venerable Rathabala said to the king, yes, because of that reason, I saw that I understand the teaching of the Buddha that life in this world is unstable. It is swept away. It chases us away to the old age and death and rule of our lifespan. That's why he chose this way of practice. For the second one, but Venerable Rathabala, the king, said, you talk that life in the world has no shelter and no protector. But in this court, in this royal palace, there's an elephant troop, there's a cavalry, there's a chariot troop, there's an infantry. And if any threat, any danger happen to us, to the royal family, they will come and subdue any threat to us, to protect us. They are our protector. They will overpower all of the danger will arise, would be arise. So why do you think, why you say that there's no shelter and no protector? So Venerable Rathabala tell to the king that, what do you think, great king? You have any chronic ailment, like kind of disease and long time and never be cured? It keep for a long time. The king said, yes, I have chronic ailment, Venerable Rathabala. Sometimes my friend, my companion, kinsman, and relative come stand around me and thinking, wow, now King Gobrabya now is about to die. He's about to die. Something like that. So what do you think, great king? Can you command your friend, your companion, your kinsman, relative that, come, my good friend, companion, my kinsman, relative. So please, all of you present here, share my painful feeling. Share with me the feeling I have now so that I have less pain. So can you do that? Or you have to face that painful feeling alone by yourself? So the king said that, yes, I cannot command them to do that. I have to feel that. I have to have that feeling alone by myself. So on account of that, the Buddha said, life in this world has no shelter and no protector. And understand of that, Venerable Rathabala used the way of practice. The third one, the Venerable Rathabala said that life in this world has nothing of its own. One have to leave on behind and pass on. So the king said, in the royal family, in the court, in the royal palace, there are abundance of gold coin and bullion and a store away in the ground or in the loft. So why you say that the world has nothing of its own and we have to live on and behind and pass on? What the meaning of that? So the Venerable Rathabala asked the king that, what do you think, great king? Now you can enjoy yourself with 5 cords of sensual pleasure, your ear, eye, ears, nose, tongue, body. But will you be able to have it for the life to come, in next life? Let me enjoy something like that in the next life. Or will other people take over your property now? This your property now, and you have to pass on according to your karma action. So the king said, yes, I enjoy a lot now with 5 cords of sensual pleasure, but I cannot make sure that I have the same for my next life, for the life to come. And property and treasure and everything I have here, that maybe somebody will come take use of that. And I will pass on, continue my way according to my karma action. So that is why the Buddha said that life in this world has nothing of its own. One has to leave on behind and pass on. So because of that, Venerable Rathabala, seeing that characteristic, that's why he chose the way to practice. The fourth one, Venerable Rathabala said, life in the world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. So what is the meaning of that? So what do you think, great king? Do you reign over the rich Kuru country? Yes, Venerable Rathabala, I reign over the rich Kuru country. So what do you think, great king? Suppose there are trustworthy, reliable men who come from the east direction, and said to you that, great king, please know that I come from the east. And in the east direction, I saw a really large country, powerful, rich, really crowded people over there. And in that country, there are plenty of elephant troop, plenty of cavalry, of chariot troop, of infantry, and plenty of gold coin, of a gold on work, and plenty of women over there. And with your power, you can conquer it. So please go there and conquer them, great king. So Venerable Ratha asked the king that, when you heard the man said that to you, what will you do? The king said that, if I can conquer it, so I will come and fight and conquer them and reign over my power. Reign over it. Venerable Rathabala. So Venerable Rathabala said that, continue asking him, so what do you think, great king? Suppose there are trustworthy and reliable men who come from the west, come from the north, come from the south, come from across the sea, and come and ask you the same way. I come from over there, and there's a large country, powerful, rich, with a lot of things, with a lot of treasure, something like that. And with your power, you can conquer and reign over it. So what will you do? I will conquer them too. I will reign over them too, Venerable Rathabala. So that is why the Buddha said that life in this world is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. We never feel enough. We try to get more and get more and get more. That king, he reigned over the rich Kuru country already. But when he heard somebody come from a far away, from the east, from the west, from the south, from the north, whatever, and he know that he can conquer and can reign over it, he will come and do that again and again. He never feel enough. So that's why life is a slave of craving, incomplete. So when we study, when we know about the four reasons, that's why the four reason, four characteristic of the life that the Venerable Rathabala choose the way of practice under the teaching of the Buddha. When we study about this thing, it's not pessimistic it's not like life is nothing, we don't care about life, which is because we're gonna die one day and ignore everything and don't care about anything, just enjoy life. It's not that way. But when we know our life is short, just like when we look at a flower, it will wither one day. So we should know that how long we have left for our life. We should always remind ourselves how long we have left. 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, few years. And when we know the time we have left in this world, so we try to treasure the moment we have. Right? Do something useful, do something really useful for ourselves and for the people around us. Right? Don't waste your time to do something unnecessary for you, for your life. Because life has no shelter, no protector. So what we do, we will receive the consequence. So better be our own protector, be our own shelter by doing the good deed, the wholesome deed. And we will be better in next life. We will bring that karma treasure in the next life, not any treasure, not any property in this life. Everything after this life we have to left behind for someone else to use, and we continue with our own karma action. And life never complete, never satisfied because of craving. So what whatever we have, just be happy that we have that. Don't expect too much, and we suffer because of that. Just enjoy the life as we have, and that's enough. So when we study these things, that's something that I think by myself, and I share with you that maybe for you, you understand the word in a different way, in a different perspective. You may apply to your life and have something useful for your life. So that is the today lesson. We offer the flower to the Buddha every day like that. We see the flowers beautiful, but it will fade away. It really in a short time. So just like our life, we not stay here forever. And the time we have in this life, we don't know how much. Just so treasure the time we have here and do something necessary, something useful for ourselves and for somebody around us. To share with you that like we monk, our experience, we monk, we are normal person, we're not noble person. That's why when we live together, sometimes we disagree in each other, and argument is normal. But we control ourselves not to go further. If it's a normal person, after argument, fighting and hitting and killing many, something like that. But when we learn the teaching of the Buddha, we know that our life is short. So arguing, disagreement is just really, really small, something really small, and it's not necessary for our life. So we can easily to drop out that easily. So that's I want to share my own experience for you. Then you can have something to apply in your practice. Thank you for your listening.
Okay, discussing time. Today we learned this lesson. It reminds me of a time when I was at the airport waiting to be boarded, and there's one gentleman. He's very, he looks very well off, wealthy, educated, very intellectual person. So he came and talked to me. He's saying that you Buddhist monk, right? Yes. So I told him, yes, I'm Buddhist monk, and he starting the conversation. He's saying that he did learn a little bit about Buddhism, and there's a few things that he a little bit confused or not clear. He's saying that Buddhism seems to be so pessimistic, always talk about death, suffering, and all that kind of thing. And he's saying that there's so much in life that we can actually appreciate and enjoy. It's not all about suffering, not about, creative, your craving and desires and things like that. So he asked me, so what do you think about it? Do you agree with what the Buddhists say? I say, of course, I agree everything what the Buddhists say. That's why I choose to be a monk, to be more intensively practice. So he said, well, okay, then enlighten me. He used the word enlightened, which is kind of far beyond, more than that, just in Buddhism. But anyway, what he meant is like, let him know, educate him. So I told him that, yes, the Buddha did talk about life is suffering and a lot of dissatisfaction, and try to get rid of craving and all that, because that's the cause that leads to suffering. And he's saying, well, he's saying that he doesn't see his life that much, because he's born from the day he was born. He's well off. He's born in a very, very rich family. Luxury, all the material is abundant for him to use. And then he got a girlfriend. He got married to a beautiful wife. She's very loyal to him, very care for him, and gave birth to beautiful children, and also very well-behaved, I call obedient children. Seems like he has a perfect life. And they say, okay, seems like you have a perfect life. No wonder that you don't see, any of the suffering that the Buddha said. And he seemed to agree with that. So I asked him, okay, even you have a perfect family like this, what if one day your wife pass away? Well, everyone will die, yes? He said, yes, of course, everyone will die one day. And I asked him, if that day comes, how will you feel about it? He said, I would feel devastated. I would feel lost. I would feel very upset. And I asked him, would that be suffering? He said, yeah, that's suffering. That's what the Buddha said. Not about, not just about being in the poor family, you don't have food to eat, clothes to wear. Not just only that, but that is the suffering that the Buddha pointed out. Death is suffering. Losing someone you love is suffering. And he's saying that you, in your case, is much more fortunate than other people. Some people are born in a very poor family. They don't have food to eat. They don't have clothes to wear. And they're born with disability. Like don't have limbs, born with deaf, mute, or things like that. A lot of impaired, disabled. So that is another type of suffering. So the Buddha is saying that if birth is suffering, death is suffering. But if you're born in the bad situation, that's suffering on top of the suffering, because suffering. So that is what the Buddha say, that is the suffering. Now he understood. Now he understood that truly life is suffering in this way. And the Buddha is saying that, yeah, he pointed out life is suffering. He also pointed out the cause of this suffering. But he didn't stop there. He tell you further that you can actually end this suffering, and there's a way to end it. And on is about the full noble truth. And he started to realize, understood about it. And that's why it's something that is unavoidable, then might as well live a life that is meaningful, and every step of the way, it leads to good things rather than bad. A lot of people who born in a rich family, they very wasteful. They don't know, they don't know that one day they will pass away, they will die. They think that they will live in the luxury. They're just being wasteful, enjoy to the most they can. And then they face a lot of suffering later. So that's not what the Buddha said. He pointed out to you and live your life accordingly, that lead to much more good consequence rather than bad. So that's what today that we learn. And Rathabala, he's a bhikkhu, he's a monk, and people often ask him why he chose to be a monk. And that's what he replied, that's how he chose to be a monk, because the four things that he learned from the Buddha. Yeah. And back to the story about the young monk, he practiced with Venerable Sariputta guidance, gave him a method of practice called the reflecting the impurity, the non-beauty of all things. In Buddhism, we have this kind of practice, the reflection on, called the impurity, we call the asubha. Basically, we reflect on the 32 part of our body that is considered impure, or we practice this on a decay body, like a dead body start to decay and all that. So a monk sit in front of it and reflecting on that. It is very repulsive, very disgusting if you look at it. And that's the method that help us to overcome the sensual, the craving. As you know, the Buddha is saying that nothing is more attractive, to a man is a woman. A woman is something that so attractive to a man that he's completely enchanted by her beauty, her look, her smell, her voice, everything about her, and vice versa to a woman. Nothing is more attractive than a man to a woman. And because of that, we got ourselves wrapped into this craving that we don't know any better. That's how we commit a lot of unwholesome act and face the suffering later. So that's why this method come out, that to see, for us to see the true nature of all things, that what you think is attractive is not really attractive. It's just, it's a bag of impurity that lead to a lot of suffering. So anyway, Venerable Sariputta believed a young monk, he would have a lot of craving and desire. That's why I gave him this method. But he practiced for a long time, but he didn't make any progress. He should, a person who full of desire should have some kind of process. But for his particular case, he didn't make any progress. So Venerable Sariputta brought him to the Buddha, and the Buddha saw, he realized that this is beyond Venerable Sariputta capability, guidance. So the Buddha took him in and gave him an object. Gave him a beautiful flower, the lotus flower, and asked him to reflect on the color of the flower. And that is in Buddhism, another type of meditation called samatha. If you're reflecting on a color or the object, focuses on, totally focuses on the object, the color of the flower. And then you enter the absorption and enter jhana, different than vipassana meditation that we practice here. So he entered jhana from 1 to 4 and vice versa. So as meditation, to be very skillful, you enter the jhana quickly and then reemerge, and then enter, leaving, go all the way up to from 1 to 4, 4 to 1, go back, and very quick, very efficient like that. So once his mind is totally in absorption, in strong in meditate, in concentration, the Buddha changed the object from a beautiful flower, wilted, darkened colors and all that. That is when he switches to vipassana. When he switches to vipassana, while still having this strong mind concentration, he will see things clearer. So he eventually noticed that the change of the color is the nature of impermanent. Everything is subject to impermanent, anicca. And because of that, he got enlightened, and he eventually attained to arahantship. So with that, we learned that he got the right method, the right teacher to help him to make the progress. That's why it's important that we have to meet the right teacher and, of course, the right method as well. But for us, we often see things change too, but we don't get enlightened. We get upset, right? We get upset. That's why everyone knows that things will change. Like, the flower just get wilt. Every day you look at the flower and you get wilt, and then you get upset. You get upset, right? Oh, I spent so much money. This beautiful flower I really like, but now it's so wilted and, things like that. It's because we don't have the right teacher. We don't practice correctly. Eh? That's why we get upset. And because of that, that's called dukkha, suffering. Life is changing, ever changing. If we notice that, and then if we attach to it, we'll have dukkha, suffering. Okay? So that's why for him, he had the teacher of the Buddha guide him and change. When his mind is at a very, in the momentum of mind concentration, and when the object change, he reflect on it with clarity, and he's noticed the difference, and he noticed the nature about it, and he just dawned on him, then he got enlightened. We are not so fortunate to have teacher like that, right? But it's okay. It's not something that we are hopeless. We're here, right? We are here. We're picking up the paddle bit by bit, learning, the teaching the Buddha, accumulate this insight. And eventually, one day, with good conduct, good morale, you will meet a Buddha in the future. And he will give you the method with all the knowledge that you build up. You quickly understand what the Buddha teaching and then get enlightened. It's not simple that every time you see the Buddha and you get the Buddha to teach you and you get enlightened. No. If you don't have the thing accumulated over the past, it's very difficult for you to understand. Even though the Buddha is very skillful, but you don't have anything to start with, it's not easy. So even though the Buddha is not here anymore, he already passed away, his teaching is still here, and we're here to learn. And even though he's not here, his teaching is here, he's here. He's in front of us. He's in the teaching. So that's what the Buddha say. If you see Tathagata, which is he refer himself, Tathagata. If you see Tathagata, you have to see the Dhamma, which is the teaching. And when you see the teaching, which is like understanding the teaching of the Buddha, you will see Tathagata. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, the Buddha is not here. I wish the Buddha here so that he could help me, right? A lot of people say that. Oh, if the Buddha is here, he could help me. I'm in despair. I'm in a lot of suffering. And if the Buddha is here, he would help me to be liberated from all this suffering. Well, if the Buddha is here and you don't have anything to start out, you won't be liberated. He talk all day long and you just stone, yeah? So you need to build it up from now. So for us monks, every time we recite his teaching, every time we practice his teaching, we feel very happy, very blessed that he's right here with us, not absent at all. He's right here. Whenever time we reflect on the teaching, I felt he's still here. So I feel very appreciative, very touching. So don't ask for the Buddha physically. He's in the teaching, and that's how comforting. So don't ask for something that you cannot, get, and then be disappointed and that be suffering, like dukkha. Just be happy for what you have and understand the true nature of it. And the Buddha is with us. Okay. So, by hearing this story, I feel that sometimes when we practice the teaching of the Buddha, we have to have good condition with the teaching, with the method to be able to make progress, and also with the right teacher to make progress. Venerable Sariputta, he's not just anybody. He's the best among the Buddha disciple in the wisdom part. So among the disciple, he's the chief of the in wisdom, in knowledge. Okay, but he couldn't get this young monk to get enlightened until the Buddha stepped in. So that's why we know that we have to have good condition with the method. We also have good condition with the teacher. So how do we know? How can we later on in the future that we meet the right teacher and have the right technique to gain progress? So for us monk, I always do wholesome deed, yield punya, and with the punya, I always make a flash or a vow that I wish that one day I will always be with the good friend, the Dhamma friend, the one who practiced the teaching of the Buddha righteously, and also the right teacher. So may my punya guide me to be with good friends, good influence friends, and with the right teacher. because we don't know who we will meet in the future, because we do wholesome and unwholesome, and sometimes we make bad friends. We make friends with bad people. We end up with bad people in the future, and they will steering us off track. Or we meet bad teacher, will steer us off track as well. So that's why I always, pray. The punya will guide me to the right people. And for this particular method here, that the vipassana or insight meditation will lead us to enlightenment. But in this case, they apply samatha, the tranquility method. For this particular lesson, he contemplating on the color of the lotus flower, which is red. And that is the kasina in the samatha practice meditation. But then again, when he attained all from 1 to the 4th jhana, which is the mind concentration, the samadhi is very, very strong. And when he emerged from that concentration, he reflects on the changing nature of the flower. That's how he get enlightened. There you go. So they combine both methods together to get the result. Make any sense? So for this person, it's very skillful way to do it. Otherwise, this young monk would ever make any progress at all. Yeah. So you have any questions or any idea? Ananda. Oh, Ananda, yeah. Vulnerable Ananda. Because vulnerable Ananda, he's so, he's into attaining the Buddha too much, right? He got himself very busy, like look after the Buddha need, here and there. He helped the Buddha a lot. Even though he with the Buddha, most of the time hearing all the teaching, but he didn't get enlightened. I mean, arahantship. He was sotapan, but not arahantship. A lot of monks come after him, arahantship, but not him. And he's always with the Buddha because he's so busy attending the Buddha, that he actually take the time in contemplating the true nature. That's why he didn't get enlightened until the Buddha demise. And then with the pressure that he need to be arahant to attain the counsel, that's why he practiced very hard. But because of practicing hard, he didn't get enlightened either until he relaxed a little bit. Yeah. So, like you say, sometimes too busy doing other things, that it really hinder your progress. Yeah. But for his situation, this is different. He's so devoted in attending to the Buddha. That's why he didn't get much progress as his fellow monk. Yeah. So a lot of people like to offer flower to the Buddha, not reflecting on the nature of changing. They've offered flower to the Buddha with the desire to be beautiful in the next life, right? Especially women, yeah, because it's truly you offer, the beauty you will regain, but then again, in the next life you will be beautiful, but without the knowledge of the teaching of the Buddha, this beauty would cause a lot of trouble to you if you don't know how to handle it, right? It happened. Some lady in the previous Buddha, she make the offering like the flower, and she wished to have this enchanted, beauty, but because of that enchanting beauty, caused a lot of trouble in the future. So that's why you have to be careful what you wish for. You can offer the beauty, beautiful thing to the Buddha, but at the same time, understand the true nature of it. That's the best way to do it. That don't blindly, just, want to be beautiful in the future life, and then don't have wisdom, don't have panya, and that causes a lot of problem. Yeah. So make sure when you offer the flower, yes, it's good. Respect the Buddha. You want to offer, you offer the best thing, you get the best thing back as a consequence. But actually, today is very interesting. I didn't know what he preparing the lesson today, but I myself picked the flower, the lotus flower here to offer to the Buddha, and you also. And today we learn about the lotus, the offering to the flower to the Buddha. So in a way, it worked out. He usually when he prepared the lesson, he didn't tell me what he would be teaching, on Sunday. So he did his own thing, I did my thing. So today I saw some flower out there, so I decided to, cut it and offer to the Buddha. Don't spend money, A lot of people spend money to buy orchid and all that. We monks don't have money, so we just pick whatever the flower out there, we offer to the Buddha and reflect on it. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's a flower day. Yes. Yeah. So when we learn this, and when we face a lot of aching and suffering on our body, remember that's the true nature of it. We have this body, we're subject to pain, old age. And we look ourselves in the mirror and sometimes feel a bit disappointed that once before we were so beautiful, so handsome, so strong, but now we are like this. So just understand that everyone will go through this, and no exception at all. And that's the true nature of it. And just accept it and keep our mind calm and do something wholesome. So that way, in the next life, we will continue to be in good, in good fortune and be fortunate. It's okay. That's his problem. That's his problem. We can't change that. People so attracted to us because we were so handsome, so beautiful. But then over the time we change. If this person doesn't accept, the true nature of it, that's his problem. You can't change his mind. But you have to keep your mind calm. Don't feel so upset crying over it. And a lot of people so afraid of it, they go to the beauty salon, cosmetic surgery, and try to make themselves young and beautiful again. But I don't think so. I don't think that cosmetic make you any younger or more beautiful at all. In fact, it could lead to more cutting and all that, insatisfied. The number 4 that he mentioned, that craving is a non-stop or not ending at all. A lot of people who get cosmetic surgery, they end up getting more and more and more and more and more until they completely, there's nothing else to cut. They cut everything. There's nothing else to cut. And then they look like, hideous. It look very terrible. So that's the thing, because people who tend so much in their look, when they go through surgery, and one comment, whether it's a true comment or not, still gonna affect them, and they will see some flaw in their face, and then redo it again, and then redo it again and again and again and again. All money lost, and you end up like crippled, like that. Yeah. So in Buddhism, the beauty is not about how you look. The beauty that the Buddha say is your morality, that you give ornament to your body. The one who has morality, he has a lot of jewel, that he carry. Everywhere he goes, he look beautiful, bright, and all that. So in Buddhism, the ornament that you put on is your morality. And that is more, last everlasting. Not only you look beautiful in this life, you will be more beautiful in next life and next life and next life. So in this life, you may be the beauty queen. You be the most beautiful lady or man in the world. But then again, that's only for one life. You don't know in the next life you'll be like this anymore, right? So the only time you do it is you have good morality. And not only in this life you be beautiful inside and outside, you be more beautiful in the next life as well. So morality is the one that help you to sustain the beauty that you want. Yeah. So there you go. I think from what we learned today is no deniable that everyone come to see the truth of it. Yeah. Nobody can argue otherwise. Yeah. Yeah. The man who argue with me otherwise, he actually understood it. I hope he finds some valuable lesson for that. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, we can do the marriage sharing and loving kindness.